This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Seriously, Dad?
Seriously, Dad? Two father comedians out of Philadelphia. Seriously, Dad?
Dad? Seriously?
Dad?
Seriously? Seriously?
Yo, welcome back. Season 2. Seriously Dead.
I'm so excited that Joey Callahan is in the building.
This is my 37th appearance here
it.
at the Simply
That's it.
Dad.
You're-
It was,
Second
I wasn't even on the show. I just sat here, and Neil goes, "Well, they're gonna have a show. I'll just keep talking. I don't care. They'll never know. I'll just
That's right. And you
equally excited.
are equally excited.
I am.
Assumed. That was assumed.
I have assumed. We're glad to have you because you're just. I mean,
Giddy is the word I use.
There you
I'm
go.
giddy.
when I have even if you call and we have like a quick 5-minute phone call, like you always crack me up. Like you always like
I'm
it's just-
charming.
You're like this. You're
Don't
seeing
get lost in
zeros
these
and
blue
ones at
eyes.
this
Don't
point.
get lost in them. They're big swimming pools.
You're so far in the matrix of comedy. You just see zeros and ones. You're
I
just
don't-
Like, I see
yeah.
punchlines and tags. That's all I
Boom,
see.
set up, boom, set up. Well, you had the wonderful video of your daughter, and I kept going. It's like you look like a parent, but who the fuck puts ketchup on a hot dog?
Dude, she is like she'll put ketchup on anything. She and I thought she was handing me a piece of the hot dog. She just handed me a piece of the nasty bun to try, and I put it in my mouth. I'm like, this is nasty. It's right in Times Square. It's like $1,200 for that hot dog.
That's right. And it was
they run your credit. They check your credit.
Hi, you like a hot dog? Let's run some credit. Let me talk to the service manager.
Social security number,
That's
bro.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Your mother's maiden name?
Dude. Yeah, I went on a trip. So Friday I had taken off of work. Girl Scouts for my daughter were going to New York City to see Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, and then they were taking us downtown. So it was like me and like 39 Girl Scouts. Well, it was like I think it was like 20 Girl Scouts and then a bunch of moms and me. And we got in a chartered bus and they had a bathroom in the back, and the guy is like giving the instructions before we leave. And he's like, there is a bathroom, just so you know, it's sitting only. That means you too, big guy. So it was like, I was like, hey, how did you know my toenails were already
Oh my
painted?
God,
Like,
it's like-
that's like the next natural step for me is just sit down while I.
You raise your hand. So you only want us to deuce.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I was like sitting down. I was
Prison
like,
rule. That's prison rules in that bathroom.
Dude, yeah.
You-
Well, I made
until
the
he tells you can't stand up. That's what that means.
it made the rest stop awkward because then I used the urinal sitting down and then just making eye contact with everybody.
You mean it's not a bidet?
Everybody else uses those urinals that way anyway.
Dude,
That's fucking- that's
it's
fucking
actually
disgusting.
like it contours well. You know,
It doesn't.
Now I
it
can't get that out of my mind's eye. Thank you.
You just walk in and I'm just staring at you. I'm like critiquing your hand washing.
That's right.
Better than the trough. We were just talking before the
The
episode.
toilet trough. That's my favorite way to pee.
The
Big-
trough or and do you always go? Do you guys etiquette wise? If there are 3, do you always make sure you give a space in between, or do you not care?
Wait, well, I mean, there's a lot of mechanics. To how
Yeah,
big- how big is this trough?
There's no one answer for that.
How big is this
It's,
trough? How big
yeah,
are the
yeah.
people? How tall are the people?
Are they, well,
But
or even just
nationality of the people can come into it. They can be anything too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, you gotta cover all your bases.
is there a divider? Is there not a divider?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
all
like,
sorts of things.
was that guy weird out there, and now we're in here, and he's like gonna try to re-talk about what we didn't talk about out there?
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot in there, but I try to not be touching anyone.
Oh, yeah.
That's usually that's
Including
usually-
myself.
Yeah,
You
and
kind of look up and are like, nice
keep,
weather. Yeah.
keep your
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah,
If my
yeah.
shoulders are gonna touch someone, I'm not gonna
That's
this
fine.
and that.
I love when they give you like a little stool, like a little platform, either for your
But
drink
it's very
or
nice.
your
Your phone, maybe.
suitcase or whatever, for like your airport or wherever. It's just nice to have.
That's very nice. It's very
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Or you have to find the ones that have like the top where the flusher is, where some of them it's
Something
like a little
solid.
table versus like that round like
I think
billet or whatever.
I think the weirdest bathroom experience I ever had. Do you guys know who Billy Barty is? Billy Barty was an actor in the 40s. He was a little person. And you guys know Danny Woodward from Seinfeld. He was the elf with Kramer.
Yes.
Also a little person from Philadelphia, by the way.
Oh, really?
So I was at the Improv in Los Angeles, and I run to the bathroom. I had to pee like a racer. 2 guys had the spot, right? So I'm like, sorry, boys. And I start peeing, right? All of a sudden, Billy Barty and Danny Woodward walk in, and they use the bathroom. Now, they're little people. Right. And I'm peeing like a racehorse. And all of a sudden I kind of notice, I go, holy shit, that's Billy Barty. He was in like Wizard of Oz. Right. And all of a sudden I start noticing that Billy and Danny are leaning back talking to each other. Hey, and I'm like,
They're leaning
yeah, they're
behind
leaning so they
you.
can lean back and talk to each other while I'm peeing like a racehorse. And I'm like, holy shit.
No, they don't want to talk through the street. That's the
No,
problem.
no,
Yeah,
absolutely
it's obvious.
not. It was like pretty funny.
That's actually really good etiquette on their part.
Yeah,
Like,
they were
make a
raised
weird
properly.
breed,
Well,
yeah.
Dan's from Philly. He went to Temple, so he knew.
knows.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's great. How did we get there?
I don't know. We were talking about New York and
And
pissing.
We were,
and-
yeah.
putting
Actually,
ketchup on your penis. No, hot dogs. Hot dog. We said hot dog. That's right. I've done both.
Yeah, of course you have. No, it's great. So yeah, I am excited for you. You're something that Al and I can't dream of. Your kids are out of the house officially.
It's weird, man. We're empty nesters. I said to my wife, we got to be careful because the last time we were like this, we ended up with kids. So,
Right.
so I got my youngest is in grad school in Massachusetts. She's at the bear with me, boys, the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Science. You got to buy 2 sweatshirts for that name. Getting her master's in occupational therapy, which is great because Daddy's gonna have the inevitable stroke where you have to teach me how to wipe my own ass. And Emma, my oldest, got engaged, and she moved to Kansas with the fiance. Everybody says like Kansas.
Now, was this we were talking
just-
about a daughter of yours last time?
Yeah,
who was just
she's engaged now
to the same-
to
same
the
guy.
fella.
okay.
Yeah, he's
good.
going to
stuck it
law
out.
school, and they my wife goes, oh, their apartment's so big they each have their own bathroom. I'm like, I wish they had their own apartments, but that's so yeah, so we're kind of like, we kind of look like, well, what do you want to do for dinner? Like, we don't know what to do with each other. We're like, you're pretty. So inevitably I piss her off, and it just is.
That's
So,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
no.
learning the rhythm. But now the worst part about it is I'm on the road doing shows. She had a girl crew. She had the daughters. They were this gang, and I was the outsider. Now I'm not home, like I've always not been home, and she's by herself. So it's her and the Labrador are looking at each other. So we're trying to get the rhythm of that one down.
Now is she still in the classroom? Is she teaching?
Still teaching. Still
Well, how many
teaching.
years has she been teaching now?
I have dental.
I
I have eyeglasses twice a year. I get those,
That's
yeah.
great.
No, I don't know how far we're. God, are we talking of retirement already? I'm only 57. I think she wants.
Well, teacher wise, I mean that's not.
Yeah, I think she's. Well, no, she taught in Catholic school. I don't know. If you're
Oh,
from
that makes it okay.
the parish Our Lady of the Minimum Wage, and then she taught in Philly. We had the girls. She stayed home, and then she went back to school. So it's. I don't think that has that same rhythm of straight through. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So.
Empty nester. That means, for those who don't know, that means your kids are gone.
Yeah.
You always knew they
Are
were
they
gonna
ever
leave.
really gone?
Are they ever,
ever-
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying.
They're
Are they
gone, but
ever
they're still on
really
the
gone?
payroll.
Like are they exactly? Like, are they? They're not out of your life.
No,
Obviously.
no.
But how far removed are they from your life?
Well, it just my wife goes. I was on the road yesterday, and I was at the movie theater, and I saw Ghostbusters. I was in Long Island, and it was like a matinee, and I had nothing to do, so I thought, see Ghostbusters. I go $5. I go $5. Are we still in New York? Right, and it was a real old movie theater. So I get this text from my wife. Please put $140 into Robin's account. She went grocery shopping,
Okay.
and I'm like, what? But she has a job. And she worked all that. She has like 18,000 in her account. Why? Well, that's a deal. Well, we're going to pay for graduate school, and we're going to pay for her. But she has a job, man.
And he's like, I just spent $5 on the movie. I only got like $80 left. I'm fucked.
I kept going, she has a job, man. And then I'm still paying for cell phones. I'm like, see, when I get out of the house, I didn't want anything from my parents, and anything they gave me, they always rubbed it in your face. So I took nothing.
Yeah.
So I have no point of reference as to like this continually staying on the payroll. So
Yeah. That's interesting because I think you're right. I think a lot of them are doing that now, and it's easier with stuff like Venmo and Cash App or Zelle. Just transfer them some money. Now, my mom did that for me, and to the point where she wanted to pay for college. It didn't end up panning out. By the end, she couldn't. But when I was in college, she was, feeding me the money and doing what she could,
Right.
working, you know, a little bit, which is great. It wasn't a ton, but it was neat for me. It was needed. And I was working in the cafeteria. I was,
I did it
working
game
jobs.
room. I had and I had gigs when I was in college, so I was doing shows. So I was always a hustler. And when I went to college, you had to pay long distance phone bills, right? So I literally got these letters from my dad. Joey, stop calling. It's too expensive. Right. Enclosed are stamps. All right. Go to mass. All right. Don't call anymore. Your father. And that's like every letter was the same way. Your father.
Stop calling here.
Stop calling. It's
No
too expensive.
XOXO. He wasn't an XOXO guy.
No.
So I have a question because I was just in New York and I always wonder, like, how much is their rent? You said they're in Kansas.
Yeah,
They got like
$2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper East Side, which was really nice. Like, it broke my heart that she gave up that apartment.
There.
2,500 is not bad.
No, not bad at all, right? So she moves to Kansas. It's $1,200, and it's freaking huge.
I was gonna say she has like
2.5 bathrooms. It's like
She got a 4. She's like, yeah, I got to take care of these fucking cows. I got suckered into this.
Took a picture of her bay window when you see this giant. It's like flat at the field. I go, oh great, you'll see the twister coming for miles. You think about the cow goes by your window. You go, oh, that's pretty. It's that time of year.
It's okay. What part of Kansas was it?
It's outside of Kansas City,
Wichita.
Kansas.
Kansas City.
Like,
There's only 2 places in Canada, Wichita and Kansas City. That's
it.
I'm a lineman for the county.
I went out to Pittsburgh, Kansas. There's a Pittsburgh, Kansas.
I think the boys' parents are from Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, so it's
so-
funny because I got somebody was like, "Hey, you want to come to Pittsburgh?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, go to Pittsburgh, like Kansas." I'm like,
fuck
"Oh,
it.
Do you guys?
Fuck
Do,
yeah.
and again, I'm old guy. Do you remember a show called Green Acres? You guys?
yeah,
remember that?
Green
Yeah.
Acres is."
It was about
used to be-
a guy moves to Kansas or wherever out, and he brings like this upper East Side New York socialite. That's what I keep sending her that. New York is where I'd rather stay.
It's like when Paris Hilton did that show. She had that.
Oh,
like,
the Simple
spin-off,
Life.
The
That
Simple
fucking
Life.
idiot she was hanging out with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe she's not
Nicole
in it. I
Richie.
don't know.
Come on, get it together.
Sorry.
Come on,
She's
you
a
gotta
nice
do
girl.
prep work for this show.
nice
girl.
Come on, man.
I
No
am-
phoning
I-
that in.
I'm guilty pleasure guy. Like I'm the guy. I watch Love Is Blind. I watch all of the cheesy shows that a man of 41 years old probably shouldn't. I'm so invested in these shows.
Well, they were. He's from the Midwest, right? And it's like little things that are different. And he's lived in New York for a long time, but he's got that Midwest thing going. Like they were visiting at Christmas or whatever they were visiting, and all of a sudden he goes, "Emma, the farmer takes a wife is on." And my wife and I are looking at each other like, "What?"
like a
farmer?
Hallmark
What?
thing.
What are you talking
What
about?
the fuck is that a reality thing?
Probably a Hallmark movie.
And he got offended when I made fun of country music. He did get it. Like I just had no point of reference for country music. So
You don't like country? I didn't like country until
I live
met
in
my
Philly.
wife.
I'm a Philly guy.
No
I'm
one
in-
really likes country music.
Yeah.
Because country music now is not really country music, right?
No.
It's, not,
It's Taylor Swift or whatever.
It's like pop music with guitars.
I heard
like-
Shania Twain's making a comeback. I'm excited about that.
I like Johnny Cash.
Shania's cool. I dig Shania.
Johnny Cash is
Yeah.
classic. I feel like I'm supposed to like Johnny. You know, but I'm just not. I'm
About 8 beers and somebody puts on Ring of Fire.
Couple
You'll like
City
Johnny
Wides.
Cash, yeah.
a couple citywides. You know what citywide is?
Now
Yeah,
what's
you know,
that?
I think it's a
How the fuck
special
was-
that's
it's a-
PBR
how the fuck
and
you gotta-
shot
are you
of Jim
fucking around?
Beam.
No, I don't know what
Guys,
a citywide
alright.
is. What's a citywide?
This editing is going to be fun.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You like grew up in bars. You're hanging
Yeah.
out. You got
well,
to
tell me what it is, and I may have a different name for it.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
a shot and beer.
Oh, that's a boilermaker.
Yeah.
There you go. I said,
I didn't know that's what the fucking boiler made.
and then when I was in Brigantine visiting my cousins, went to the Cove, and they go, "Give me a Happy Meal." It was a shot and a beer. It's the same
Okay,
thing. It's
so you have-
just
it's
a
just a
different
different-
generational
yeah, yep.
thing.
Okay.
They call them citywide. So you'll see some of the flyers for like some of the mics or whatever. They'll be like, "Oh, $5 citywides."
Okay, I'm learning. You guys, last time I was here, you taught me what OnlyFans were. That I've not been able to get out of my mind. Now I know what a citywide is.
If I
You're
haven't
in
been able to
debt,
get out of
man.
my browser history, I don't know how the fuck that keeps on getting in there.
Oops.
We need to. There's a guy on TikTok that I keep seeing every once in a while, and he sells hats, but they're called Only Dads. And it looks like OnlyFans, but it's like, and it looks like the logo, but it's like a dad bod in like the middle of the O. And I was like, we should do a cross promotion with them because I want some of these hats. I would totally wear the hat.
I should start
On the
OnlyFans.
podcast.
That's considered.
You
They're
consider
really
it an OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gonna start an OnlyFans?
Yeah.
You
Start
can do
OnlyFans
that.
and then get into real estate. I think that's going to be
Can
my career
guys
path.
have an OnlyFans?
OnlyFans are not, it's not
I'm sure.
always sexual. You know that, right?
No, I
What,
didn't.
like, it be
know
pen
that.
pals
Yeah.
or somebody.
Like a lot. Yeah,
Well,
basically.
it's young nubile women and bass fishers.
Yeah.
The guys who like the bass.
Joey
fish.
nailed it.
Yeah. it's-
Yeah.
Oh wait,
It's a lot of guys who like maybe want a girlfriend that they want to talk to, but they might not have the social skills for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
they're just like having like
Yeah,
a
they
fake
send
relationship with
kind
someone?
of. Yeah, they kind of do. It's a little faux
So-
relationship based on
Wow.
payment.
And they
Well,
can
like
just
it-
kind of come in when they're ready and chat.
Yeah, and it's up to the woman or the man to be kind of putting up content. Some people just do comedy on there, and maybe they show a
Comedy on
shirtless pic.
OnlyFans?
Yeah, man. It's a platform
yeah,
for everybody.
I know they have a comedy network, LMAOF.
Yeah, I believe. I think someone has used it, but yeah, Jamie Pappas. I think it's got to do it.
But I've also seen other promos now for the network.
So I could just like take my shirt off and stand there until.
I mean, we don't need to talk about it on the podcast because I've been meaning to talk to you. I want to rep you a little. No, but I think you'll do really well. I think Jay
yeah,
would too.
man.
Why the fuck not? I'm
Some
sign up
people-
for my
some
own.
people are-
My
I had a woman come up after we were in like maybe Indianapolis at the Helium there, and we did a show. And now I was with this guy named Sam Salem, who's out of LA, and he is like tall, thin. He is good looking, but he has like a look to him with glasses that he prepared. It's a little nerdy, but kind of like Steve Urkel could be Stefan Urkel, kind of. And so somehow this woman like convinces him to take off his shirt at the end of the show. She's like, "Oh, I was at a country concert, and he took his shirt off." Well, and he did. He took his shirt off, and then after the show, we had to do like a meet and greet out in the front. And some woman, she's like, "Oh, you hear from him?" She's like, "No, I want him. I'm into dad bods." And she points at me. And
there you
my
go.
face was like so red. I was like, and she was serious. She was like coming at me. I was
oh
like,
shucks, yeah. Jay has a shucks.
I was
Good for
like,
you.
Jeez.
Still got it, man.
see,
Still got it.
that's what I'm
Yeah, there
saying.
you
You
go.
know, I don't know, but yeah. So
So an empty nest, right?
Empty
So
nest.
empty nest. That's we like the biggest
are you
question
going to
in our house.
downsize? Is that what do you need? The
I don't know what we're
house?
doing at this point. At this again, it's so new. It's like I keep asking her, what room do we set up the sex wing? And she
Well,
never gets back to me.
What couldn't you? I mean, I think I know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But when you weren't an empty nester, what could you do what couldn't you do that you could do now? I
My
mean,
favorite story is we got this surround sound system right in our house. My oldest, who's now 27, was a little thing, and we put on the Polar Express, and the whole like room shook. Right, the Polar Express. So flash forward, it's a Sunday night. My wife and I are doing well. We're having a lot of fun, and I didn't realize the headboard was going blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden, the door opens, and it's my oldest daughter. Is like 5 or 6, going, "You guys watching the Polar Express?"
He's like, no, Daddy's
And my
running,
wife
Daddy's
is like,
running
look,
train. Right?
yeah, I'm like, oh God, sweet Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
okay.
I thought it was hysterical. My wife, not so much.
She did not find that
No,
funny.
not so much. So again, I'm older, so it's a different rhythm. But yeah. You had as they got older, and their bedrooms are near our bedroom. There's certain things you
So
can.
it's banging, right? That's number one, right? It's banging.
Yeah. Well.
Now, are you gonna make
No,
up
we
for
don't
all
bang.
those
I
years?
make love to my wife.
Now, are you gonna make up for all those years of lost lovemaking? Like,
Hold on, let me call it.
on.
Hi, hon. Yeah, listen. Al wants to. I'll tell you who. It's a citywide. No, it's a shot in the beer. It's so no. Are we gonna make up?
I'll be right home.
I 10 more bangs, I get a sandwich. So
Yeah,
You
what
got a
is
punch
hard, 'cause,
card.
like we were like the other morning. Sometimes the girls will like at some point a girl will come and there'll be a girl in the bed with us, and then like the one morning it was like you're trying to send her like go down and get your. It was Easter morning, and we're like go get your. They're so excited about the Easter basket. I'm like yeah, go get the Easter basket, go. And then they kept like trying to come upstairs to get us to come enjoy the basket. I'm like go downstairs and enjoy the basket.
You enjoy your basket, Dave.
Yeah.
His basket.
The Easter
And then-
bunny came. Now it's Daddy's turn. Let's go.
yeah,
Well,
but as they
my
get
wife's
older and they're
going to hate
teenagers,
that.
it's like no, yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is like you're not gonna like just automatically just start banging a ton to make up for lost time.
Well,
Right, 'cause that one was kinda
according to
close.
my proposal to her, it was. I did the paperwork. I had a presentation, I had a PowerPoint. But no, yes. But a lot of times you're married. Jay will tell you, you're married to a teacher. They're exhausted, so you're praying for the last day of school, and you're just praying.
That's mating season for the teacher.
Yeah, that's
School,
right.
The first day of school.
Friday night. You ever see Teacher Friday Night? It's like The Walking Dead. It's like pizza.
It really is. That was one thing since I've been back in the classroom full time. Like the Fridays, like trying to go out and that I'm working on every Friday. Like then driving, like I had to leave the school bus lot and go straight to like New York and had Gotham show like 7. Barely got in the city on time. I'm in traffic for 3 hours. My eyes are barely open.
Yeah.
I'm drinking coffee in Celsius, giving myself like a heart attack.
Yeah.
But then like I get the adrenaline of the show, and then that sets me
Yeah, but nothing's
that.
worse than the anxiety of sitting in traffic. Even when the GPS says, "Don't worry, you're going to get there by
Yeah.
such and such time,"
Your proposed
but your
time
car
is-
hasn't fucking moved, and you're just
Yeah.
sitting there. That anxiety is killer because if you show up late, you fuck up the show. They're not going to book you again. You're fucked. You know
That's-
what I
But
mean?
the teacher tired of that Friday night. That like that. I remember it being like 22, first year teacher, and you go home and you'd make the mistake because I didn't have anybody at home. I was a young. I'd go take a nap. I'd just like, I'm just gonna rest my eyes.
Oh yeah, once you put your feet up, it's over.
boom, you're done. The rest of the night's over.
Once you extend your legs, it's over.
And it's like that's the one thing that like that's true. And my wife and I are both teachers, so
there,
like, we're both out. Like,
And the other thing too is I was talking to my buddy. I've known my buddy for like 30 years, and we used to go out and have a great time. And now like we're like old guys, but we're young enough to realize like we're like this close to being the two old guys from the Muppet Show. That's really what it's coming down to. And our dinner's getting earlier, and I go, Christ, man, if we make dinner reservations any earlier, they're only going to be serving breakfast. So I remember my oldest called me from Manhattan. He goes, "Oh, we have dinner reservations at 10 o'clock." And I got angry. 10 o'clock? Who eats dinner at 10 o'clock? So you become an old guy.
yeah. That's funny. Yeah,
So I mean, what do you want to fill the time? Like, what do you?
We're learning, man. Like I'm telling you, it's still brand freaking new, and we're digging each other. Like I dig my wife. You have to have her on to get her opinion, but I love my wife. I like hanging out with her.
yeah.
Her stories are entirely too long. They like get to the point, hon. Get to the point. Other than that, she's just a treat to be around. So like we can go to a movie, go to dinner. It's fun. It's like no kids. Now she misses the kids. I don't particularly miss them. I love them, but I don't. I'm like,
Right, you don't miss them, yeah,
fly, little bird, fly. I'm like, let's go to dinner. So
I know we loved road trips like before we had kids.
Mhm.
Like that's what we would do. So when we would have a break from school, we would road trip down to Florida. Or our first year after getting married, we drove out to the Field of Dreams of Iowa and stopped at every baseball stadium on the way.
Oh,
And then she's a history buff, so during the day we would like, oh, Lincoln's childhood home, and whatever. We would go on TripAdvisor, and we were very spontaneous. You go on TripAdvisor, you'd hit what's near me right now,
Mhm.
and then that's where we would go, and that's how we spent our mornings. We knew where we were going to end up,
right.
but we didn't necessarily know where we were going to go during the day. Or for food, there was an app that was like diners, drive-ins, and dives, and you could also map it and say, what am I near? And so that's how my dream for us, and we're doing that now, but we're doing it with the girls. So we just did a trip out to Chicago and
Mhm.
Niagara Falls, but it's different. So I'm like, oh, I can't wait till we can kind of go back to that. But now we're not going to be the same age. So like our interests are going to be different. I think that's the hardest when I think about marriage. I think about like just how you're growing, you're each individually growing, but you're also kind of growing together, but you're changing.
yeah,
right?
you
Like,
kind of have your own thing, and then you try to meet in the middle. And now the biggest thing for us right now is we got a 90-pound Labrador Mastiff. Like I got to get someone to watch the dog because a lot of times we're stuck because who's going to watch this beast? And I love her, but no, trust me, man. She's the highest maintenance dog I ever had, and she loves me. But we got to get there because I like to bring my wife to shows with me if I can talk her into it, or like go away games where like I got a beautiful hotel room somewhere,
right.
Yeah.
and then now we go, oh no, who's going to watch the dog? That's the biggest problem right now.
So you're not even really empty nest.
Yeah, kind of not. Yeah, you're right. Now that I
still got
something.
something holding you.
Yeah, I'm a fraud. Let me leave. Right.
Yeah. What the fuck?
No, that is
Who
nice
produces
because
shit?
I like when Amanda comes. Amanda surprised me. I had a leg of the tour where we started in Vermont. We ended in Wilkes-Barre,
Mhm.
and so
Because the two are so close.
so she came to Wilkes-Barre, but she didn't tell me she was coming to Wilkes-Barre. So she got my mother and her mother to watch each of the girls, and then she just drove up and surprised me and came for the show. And we stayed. We were staying at the casino, and so it was really cool. She was actually she kind of let it out. She posted something on Facebook, like not thinking I was going to see her feed or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she told
And it
on
was
herself.
strategic. And we each have the Find Each Other app on our like Find Your
Yeah.
iPhone. So I'm sitting there with Liz Blanc having lunch, and I'm like looking at Liz. I'm like, I think she's coming here. I see her on 476 North. I'm like, do I tell her? Liz is like, let her have her fun. Like,
Sure.
Does she know that you know that surprise wasn't?
Genuine.
so she, I
that you knew-
eventually.
well, it was genuine, but you knew.
So
about the
and then of
surprise.
course,
You
yeah.
ruined
So I
on
knew
your
it,
own.
but she was calling the other comedian, Andrea Gaspari, that I was working with, and Andrea was not was trying to be secretive. Like she didn't tell me she was talking to my wife.
Yeah.
And so I tried, and then Liz was like, yeah, let her have her fun. Don't tell her. And then of course you're thinking, oh, it's going to be very romantic when she gets there.
Yeah.
I'm mid deuce. Like I'm mid dropping a deuce. Like they could not be.
Oh, and I bet when you do that, the room smells
Dude, it
fantastic.
is- I mean, I would have used the lobby if I knew she was coming, you know, like, but like, that's the thing about marriage now. Is like,
Ooga,
I remember our
ooga.
honeymoon, we did like this Mexican resort, and I told them like I want to be treated like a king. That's what I told them because some of our parents were feeding in for the money. So I'm like, oh, we're on the payroll still.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, some of your parents were chipping into your honeymoon?
Yeah.
Oh!
Like
I'm thinking
some
your
of, like,
I'm thinking
between-
your students' parents. No, I'm thinking your parents. I'm
And then
sorry.
you
I'm
want to be
sorry.
treated like
One
a
of my-
king.
I gotta go fund me for my honeymoon.
How old are you when you dropped I want to be treated like a king line?
Yeah.
I was 28 years old.
That does sound like something a 28-year-old would say. Yeah.
But we had a rule there that we're like, oh, when you're in the room, no clothes. And that was how we did the honeymoon. But that's something like I would think an empty nester, like you would, you know, maybe resort back to that playfulness of
Yeah.
like,
But the playfulness
clothes
is gone because
Sunday.
like you're a different, like you
and
said, you're a
because
different
gravity's
person.
taken over.
yeah,
you're a different
you've got
person. Yeah.
testosterone bursting through
Yeah,
your body.
You're
you
a
know,
different person. Yeah, like
That's
now
true.
You're like, oh, he probably wants to open up a wood shop or something, right? Are you thinking anything like that?
Well,
Like trains,
I was
are
at the
you gonna do
Borgata,
trains,
and
or-
there was a possibility that my wife could come, but then I knew that would really seriously cut down with me drinking with my cousins and brigantine. So I'm like, no, you should know. So yeah, you have your thing, and then you have your
Yeah,
other
yeah.
thing. So it's
I think it's, you would think, I think it's important. How long have you been married now?
33 years.
Yeah, see, that-
The
that's
same age
crazy.
Christ was when he died.
Okay.
I'm just nervous because, like, I mean, I'm a parent of divorce. Like, I mean, most marriages, and in most marriages don't make it to 33 years.
No, that's definitely.
And
No
then-
one's doing 33.
And then
No
there's
one's doing
other
numbers
things like
that.
you know, if you have like most families that have a special needs kid, like even higher rates. Because I'm watching, like, we talk about Love on the Spectrum, like one of the last episodes. Whenever I watch that, I watch the families because I want to see, and almost always the families no longer are together.
Is that because of the stress,
strain, the stress of it all.
Yeah.
Because it is. Like, even like, and my wife and I, thankfully, we have a balance of when one of us is off, the other is on. Like, it just magically happens that way. Like, if one of us has no emotional currency left to like
the other one
be
picks
the
up on it.
adult in the situation, the other one magically does. So like, it's just worked really well.
When you
where,
say
like-
magic, it makes it sound like his wife's doing all the work. doesn't it?
No.
Now,
Yeah,
magically getting done. Look at
Now,
all this magic.
today, yes, because Daddy was trying to watch the Iowa game before we came here,
Mhm.
and I used to coach girls basketball, and I get very impassioned about it. Like, even when we mentioned it before, like I was like a 7th grade girls basketball coach, saying things you shouldn't be saying on the sideline because I was too into the game, like too Bobby
How old were
Knight.
you when this happened? Around the
No, wait.
like,
What,
this was
I want
today.
to go back to what I was saying things on the sideline I shouldn't be saying. Like, look at the ass on that one.
No.
no.
No,
Okay, I
like-
want to clarify.
I'd be like
that.
yelling at the ref. I'd be like,
show me your feet.
I'd be like, her hands are all over. Dinner and a movie first. Dinner and a
Oh.
movie. I'd be saying stuff like,
Oh my god! Oh
Yeah.
my god!
I'd be
Really?
like, yeah. I
they,
would.
they didn't fire you?
And how
No,
old
no.
were they?
7th and 8th grade.
That's weird.
the parents
man.
like that shit,
I love you, but that's
Yeah,
weird.
it is weird. Yeah, but I was just, that was like, I disassociated from like my logical self. So like today I'm watching the game and it kind of went back to it. So my wife's just laying on the floor. The girls are on the couch. I'm on the couch watching the Iowa game, and I'm getting into it because they're not calling. They're letting them make contact early on. I'm all into it. I'm yelling. I'm like, eat it. And my daughter's like, what are they eating, Daddy?
Oh,
Oh,
and
gosh.
my wife's like, ignore your father. She's like, why should I ignore my father? and so like the whole
practice,
time,
honey, practice. I've been doing it
today I had nothing left because I was just digging into, like, I was into the game and she had to be the adult. But like a week ago, it was the reverse. She was spent. Like, she had a rough day at work. All of her emotional currency was spent. So then the girls were getting on her nerves on like a hairpin trigger. But I had the emotional ability
I've
to like
been
ride
there.
the wave. But I think sometimes if you're both spent or if you're not paying attention to where each other is, I've heard some couples say that they tell each other like where they're at between like a 1 to 10 scale
Yeah.
of like where they're at with, if they're like,
Sounds like you could cheat that very easily, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm at a 9 again. I'm gonna, I'm gonna go play on my phone for the next 45 minutes. I'm at a 9 again.
I'm gonna go in the bathroom,
Yeah,
pretend I'm going to the
yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
for the next. But to my point is, I think a lot of families it is a stressor because you do like if Alicia's having a meltdown, like they were playing beautifully, and then all of a sudden they're arguing over something, and Alicia's yelling, and Katie's yelling, and now the whole house is yelling, and and you have to be calm, you have to pull them apart, you have to maintain that, but your blood pressure
You can't
internally,
be yelling. You can't be in the dining room yelling, "Chick fight, chick fight."
right.
So,
It's right. It's like the Animal House, like food fight. But it's so easy to give into that, and then you're hearing them, and then you start. That's why I would like that rage room. I need a rage room. So on the way home from school, after 150 kids have tried my patience all day, I can go somewhere where I can just like, I don't know, like just throw some desks. You know what I mean? Like do something to get the
Rage room.
aggression out.
Yeah, just do that in the homeroom, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
what, right?
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. Go back to Catholic school. Be able to punch a kid.
Dude.
When I went to school, at any time you could be punched by a teacher. That's how it was always on the table.
Mr. Fox.
They definitely lived longer back then when they were
Yeah.
beating the shit out.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, we had a dean.
More people went into teaching.
Yeah, we had a dean,
That's
Mr.
a
Fox,
side note.
and he would grab you by like some part of you, like the side of your like love handle, and he'd
Jesus
just
Christ,
like
what a
claw
weirdo.
you and like put you into a locker, or do whatever. If he thought you were like,
That's a weird thing. That's
Yeah.
weird.
You
That's
grew
fucked
up. We had the best one I love. It was 30 years of doing stand up. You see comics take down hecklers, right? Mr. Swinar was our Western civilization teacher, and he owned a bar in Bridesburg. So he would teach all day, and he'd run out of school and bartend all night. He was exhausted. Put a movie on, 30, 15-year-old boys, right? Old boys Catholic school. Put the newspaper up, right? One day, kid yells out, "Hey, Mr. Swinar, you got any naked dancers at your bar?" The newspaper comes down and goes, "Why, kid, your mom need a job?" Now, try. First of all, that is one of the most beautiful heckler put downs I've ever seen. Secondly, try to do that as a teacher today.
Never.
Would you imagine what would happen?
oh my goodness, because the kids now like they get so butthurt, like they can dish it out, but they can't take it. And like that's it. I have a couple of knuckleheads. It's like the reboot of Beavis and Butthead in my homeroom, and it's just like they're either giggling at YouTube, and it's not like Beavis and Butthead watching music videos. They're watching like bum fights on YouTube, giggling like schoolgirls. And then after lunch, there's no more recess. So then they have to come back to my classroom for 12 minutes with all this energy. And what do? Their favorite pastime, ball tap each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like these kids, at least they're hurting.
What friendship are they going for?
I
Right?
just
It's
listen.
so
Love is
weird.
love, man. Love is love.
They're like, well, they're injuring their future progeny, which might be just a blessing for the community.
Thin the herd.
Wow, that's an interesting.
But it's weird, like.
Yeah.
So Fridays I take them outside because I'm right by the back entrance. We have a big baseball field there, so I just like for the 12 minutes because that's what they should be doing. The kids should be
They're
outside.
getting that energy out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know me. I'm my stance on energy.
That's
Get
right.
energy out,
Yeah,
Energy
yeah.
out.
Exhaust them
So
out.
I feel bad for them, but at the same time, they're so soft. They act tough, and then the minute you would say something back to them, they wouldn't be able to process it. Their minds would be blown because they're so entitled.
Sounds like the start of a story where Jay Yoder's like, so I'm fighting this kid, right? Like he's getting under my skin. So I ball it up, and I just get him a good one.
Right. That's right. But you can't say anything back to them because then all of a sudden, and I was teaching.
I'm thinking maybe
elementary.
you should be able to because it would thin the herd and kind of streamline
would,
the
like-
pussies.
So I had a thing where a fifth grader, I was like, and I hadn't taught fifth grade before. It's my first time. I was like the fun uncle. I'd come into a world language lesson once a week for each classroom. And there were enough classrooms between the 5 buildings. That's what I did all week. So the kid's like playing a game on his Chromebook. And I'm like, and then I go up to him like, is that what you're supposed to be doing right now? He's like, well, it's about recycling. So like, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I'm like, you say this to me as if I care. And this kid's face looked like he went from 0 to I'm about to cry in a nanosecond.
Did he cry?
And he didn't.
What's the matter? You crying? You crying?
I had a
You
few
Why you hitting
times-
yourself? Why you hitting yourself?
Because I can be a silver tongue. Like I can get like if you put baby in a corner, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Keep going with metaphors. I'm I know I'm a train leaves Chicago at 8 a.m. and a boat leaves the dock at 2. That's me, man. That's me right now.
That's right. Yep. But I don't know. So sometimes I can take it a little far if I don't control myself. So like I have the homeroom from 7:30 to 8 every morning, and I just feel my blood pressure as I'm trying not to react, because they're looking at me, waiting for me to look away so that they could ball tap each other or do whatever. And then I either have to pretend I didn't see it, or you know what I mean? Like it's this game of like Tom and Jerry, and it's
Oh my
just
god, that sounds like fucking hell. That's
Knock
It
it
is.
off, you jackasses. That's what we would get.
Well, that's what
You're-
I'm saying.
We had priests from the Midwest like, you're a bunch of assholes.
And they will just look at you like you're an idiot. Like if you like be like, guys, what are you doing? Like, what man?
What?
What,
I don't have
man?
my cell phone.
What, man?
And
What-
just like
why?
that
Do-
whole
why? I didn't do
concept.
anything.
Well, it's
and
funny because my
honestly,
daughter's like my oldest daughter is defiant. She will not. She I think in another life she was in the Alamo. I really like you cannot. But she's stubborn, thick-headed, and she'll just go. You want to play chicken? She'll go right into it.
Yeah.
The younger one talks a good game, but folds like a cheap suit. Like I hate to say it, like the older one, you beat her ass and she would just take it. The other one go, I'm gonna beat. So it's all personality types.
It is.
Or is it difference between a millennial and Generation Z? You know,
Yeah.
I don't even know what generation I am.
What year were
You're
you
millennial.
born?
84. I'm a
You're
millennial. I'm a
millennial.
millennial.
You're a
but like,
millennial.
but like, so my wife
yeah,
sent
but
me.
you're actually kind of like a cool millennial. You're like, you're not wishy.
My wife sent me a meme
Alright.
the other day that was like millennials would have went out clubbing and then got home at 5, slept for 1 hour,
I went to work.
and then went to work
Yeah, yeah.
with the hand stamp still on their hand, you
Yep.
know, and the
Yeah.
clothes they wore to the club. Whereas like Gen Z, they'll go out clubbing and then call out the
Oh,
next
wow.
day.
Fucking pussies.
But I always think it's like every generation, the one after them, they're pussies. Like if you
That's right.
go back, World War II,
No one appreciates
baby
it.
boomers, Gen X, which is me, and then the millennials, and then
So when years ago, when I first started teaching at the high school, there was this common kind of like I forget what the movie is, like maybe Fast Times or whatever, but it was that edge of like the freshmen. So like
Yeah.
the freshmen would come in, and we would have assemblies where each year their class officers had to do a skit, and there were like class wars and whatever. And anytime freshmen would come into the assembly, because they always got dismissed seniors to freshmen. So by the time the freshmen came in, everybody would just boo. And it was this thing to just boo the freshmen anytime they were anywhere in any assembly. And then all of a sudden now they did away with it. Now you could never do that. But it was
That's like mega
this,
bullying. That's like a
yeah, but it,
bullying
like
thing,
back in the
yeah.
day, it was like no big thing. It was like, oh yeah, the freshmen, they're going to boo them. And we were all cool with it. And then all of a sudden now, 20 years later, you would never see that happen again.
I wonder if there's like military academies where like would have hazing, like
Oh,
West
they're done
Point.
hazing, right? Hazing is. I think it's supposed. I think it got pretty bad at one point.
Yeah, some people got a little too
I think
good
I
at
got
it. Yeah,
There's a whole movie about A Few Good Men. That's all about hazing.
My
yeah, a little
lost
too much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
my
too far there.
one of my best friends from childhood, when he went to college, he joined a fraternity, and they did heavy hazing, like to the point where there was a garbage can. They started passing around bottles of liquor, and by the time it got around the circle, it had to be done. So you guys, as a team, had to take it, and then the goal for the fraternity brothers was to get them fill a line in the trash can with puke.
that's just, you know what?
And
that's-
so-
Jesus Christ.
And then they did stuff like one point they made them sit in like shallow water, like then like almost freezing temperatures. Like, and I will tell you this, my relationship with that kid that I thought would have been like lifelong. I knew him since like we were in Catholic
Mhm.
school together. He ended up, I believe everybody's an alcoholic before, but I believe that since he was kind of predisposed, that tore him up. He ended up,
Oh,
like, he ended up going off the handle. We tried to live together after college, couldn't do it because he turned.
He
Yeah,
was all in. Wow.
there were 4 of us living in this apartment in Phoenixville. So me and him were sharing a bedroom, and then this hippie couple was sharing the other bedroom. And we were having a housewarming party. And there was a bottle of liquor that they had bought for themselves, like a little fifth of Smirnoff. And I knew he had problems because the summer before he got invited to a fraternity party from my frat because he was by my college. And I had my fraternity brother call me the next day. He's like, hey, we tried to invite your buddy to make him feel welcome because we know he's not from the area. But like he called all of his fraternity brothers and they came to our party and they kept making the girls feel uncomfortable. And we think he stole our liquor. And I'm like,
we have a suspicion.
and I'm
that-
like, I'm like, he did not.
Mary's
And I'm
pregnant.
defending him because he's
Yeah,
my
you're like,
best
no one's
friend from
stealing
back in the day. I'm
fucking
like, he
liquor.
didn't do that.
No
Like,
one's
what are you
stealing
guys
liquor.
talking about? So I go in and I open the freezer,
There's a fucking bottle.
and there are just mishmash bottles of the lowest, like Vladimir's seventh
Wow.
cousin
Wow.
vodka, like just this much left in them. They're all like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh. and I knew he had a problem. So then when we moved in, I'm like, hey, that's their bottle. Make sure you don't touch it. That's theirs. And we had like a kegerator. We had so much other stuff. And I walk in and he's got these little Dixie cups on the counter. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing there? He's like, oh, it's just water. And I'm like, it's just water. And I saw his friend look at him like, it's just water. So then I go over to the freezer right by him and I'm like, they're not home yet. This is their bottle that was unopened and now it's down this much. And like, he almost like wanted to throw fists with me at that point. We've never fought in our day.
That's an interesting topic from the perspective you guys said, like nobody gets married for 33 years. You have friends that you went to school with, like kind of like a marriage, your best friends in the whole world. And then you come to a point where you're just friends out of habit, but you have nothing in common with this person.
Yep. It's usually because of that big break in college, right?
Well,
but even like something shifted in you, or like you had been masking, like, you know, like your true self. You hadn't been your true self around them,
and you just grow apart.
And
I think politics is a big thing. There's a lot of division because of politics in this current cultural environment that we're. I think people grow apart from. What if husband and wives break up because of politics?
It's funny. You know what's funny? The other day I was driving, and my wife was, because my wife's very pointed with she'll pick up all the cold calls, like all the calls that are robocalls. She will pick them up. I'm like, why are you even doing
such a
this?
waste of time.
And
that's that pause before they answer. Hello.
Yep.
Hello?
That's when I hung up. That's when I hang up.
Yeah.
So she was like talking to. She's like, no, and I'm a Republican. And I looked at her. I'm like, you're a Republican? Because I guess it was the Democratic thing calling her. She's like, no, I'm a Republican anyways. And I'm like, you're a Republican? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, huh. Because it should make sense because her dad,
it makes sense. You weren't home on January 6th.
Her dad's checks say NRA on them. Like her dad's checks are like NRA. Mine are Major League Baseball checks. His are NRA checks. So it checks out because her family is very.
Remember the Conways? What happened to them?
I think they divorced.
Did they?
I think they divorced.
The Conways. I don't know.
That's Kellyanne Conway.
Kellyanne worked for Donald Trump, and her husband was.
She's the one that coined the term alternative truth.
Yeah, she's from my hometown.
Is she?
She's from Hamilton.
Yeah. And she worked for Trump, and her husband hated Trump.
He was a lawyer.
And he was going on CNN talking all this shit about Trump, and she's on Fox News talking all this shit about Trump in the opposite direction. And you said they got divorced.
I think that's what I had heard. Yeah,
yeah. But like my wife, I mean, I know my wife's not she's definitely not a Trump fan, but like that, it didn't bother me. I was like, oh. Because to me, it's like, what does that mean? It's like a box that you check.
It doesn't mean shit.
You only check that box when you're 18 and you sign up and you check the box because that's what your parents probably check.
That and an organ donor.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. Yeah. Which is important, kids at home.
That's right.
Always donate your organs.
That's right.
And spade and noodle your puppies.
That's right. Bob Barker will be proud. But like, it didn't bother me that she's that way. But like, and even though my wife or my mom actually. My mom's even worse because now she's older. She watches CNN like nonstop.
So she got radicalized the other way. Because my mother-in-law she's in the cult on the right.
Yeah.
So
it's just I think as you get older, you're like you just want to tether to something. Your brain can't you can't be spinning all these plates anymore of trying to be understanding and whatever. Like your brain, your faculties are probably, as you get older,
diminished.
Those neural pathways, they start to overgrow. You only got a few highways.
What year is this? I poopied.
Can I show you guys one thing? Because yes, you heard correctly, Joe. They are divorced after 22 years of marriage.
Okay.
And the picture that came up is just... It's the real picture of him just kind of looking off to the side. Oh, sorry. The screen is down.
Okay.
I don't know why it's down. It's off right now. But
I knew they got divorced when I saw that he got rid of the mullet.
Yeah.
He got rid of the mullet and he had that look of tan. And he's like, there's women out there.
And Kellyanne, we haven't seen Kellyanne anyway. I haven't seen her doing anything anyway.
Give me the downside of that.
I was just thinking of a couple that had the politics.
Yeah, no.
That was such a polarizing politics. That was so strong. It's not just like, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
She worked for the guy that the dude absolutely despised. He hated this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's a totally different.
So again, we're now.
Is that
yeah. So sorry. Look behind you guys. I had to show you. So just for
looking at
the audience saw. Yeah, the audience saw it, but it's the first picture.
Grinder match didn't work out.
Yeah. His picture pops up, and he's just like, "Sheesh!" Like he's got the eye roll kind of deal.
Looking at her on the thing.
Well, he's looking at somebody. It's just again, Google knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of having some contention too, because now it's the point where my brother-in-law in New York is probably going to retire to Cape Cod. So Donna's mom will possibly become the Philadelphia. And the instincts in me saying, well, we'll get a bigger house, give her her own space. I can't live with the woman. I honest to God, I adore my wife, and I look at my wife sometimes and go, how did you come from that? Like, we do not, like, like everybody has a rhythm. You sync with some, you don't sync with us. We do not sync at all. And I know that if she comes to Philly and she lives with us, I'm going to shoot myself.
So,
Does she know that?
It's the feeling's mutual.
Yeah,
will-
and your wife knows it.
Oh,
100%.
absolutely,
Okay.
she does. And I bite my tongue, or I try to bite my tongue, and sometimes I can't.
You know, my mom lives with us and has lived with us for 11 years, almost 11 years now. And it's very tough. It's really it was fine for a good amount of years, but now
And then it wasn't.
It's no long. It's not.
But
Everybody's
who's feeling it. Is
I
it
feel like it's a very underlying, like, we all love each other, but like, my mom grew up in an era where there's a certain expectation for things, or she wants to take care of the kids, and it tries to override some of our things. Like, for example, there's an issue with our house with my youngest daughter remembering her coat. Like, she'll have her coat, she'll take it off in the car because she's hot, she'll leave it in whatever car she was in, and then the morning rolls around and she doesn't have her coat or something that fits. Now, my philosophy is,
I'm the same way with my
go
pants.
without a coat,
Uh-huh.
and that's fine. Now, my mom wants to run out and buy her coats, or she's sending a message, well, you got to do this before you go to bed again. I'm like, no, I don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, she should remember where her coat is. And so we have these, like, passive aggressive, like, wars of expectation. Or my mom, like, is a clean, like, the minute I was drinking a cup and I placed it down for a nanosecond and walked away, she would have it washed and away. And I'm just like, I'm going to come back to that glass in a second. I'm not even done drinking.
Yeah.
So there's just little things like that keep happening that are enough. And like my wife, God bless her, it's like having two of me in the house, because all of the bad things about me are from her, and they're just,
There's two of them.
it's just two of them,
They're all
right?
from
So
Well, don't discount the alpha female, because, like, Donna's mom comes old school Italian, and everything Donna's brother does is fantastic, and everything Donna does, her mother just is so critical. And at one point, we're sitting at the dining room table. We had some people coming, and we were not sitting in the right. Like, Donna should sit on one end. I'm like, it's my house. I'll sit where I want. Like, I can't stand that. I lose my patience.
or if we're having people over, like, let's say my in-laws are coming over, we're having Christmas breakfast at our house, my mom will go nuts. She'll tire herself out, like, making, instead of just like letting me do it. Oh, I didn't do it fast enough. The one day she dragged the trash to the curb. I'm like, and then she came in talking about how tired and how sore
And
she
you're like,
was.
well, nobody.
Well, I'm like, then don't do that. Then she's
Hey,
like,
Joan of
it had
Arc,
to-
get off the
well, it had to
crucifix.
go
Nobody
out.
asked you.
Her and Jesus are my favorite martyrs. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, but it's that stuff that it's like, she's just that era that it's like, well, it's got to be done. It's got to be right now. And I'm going to be the one to do
Alpha
it.
female. It's
That's
the
what it
alpha
is.
female.
And
That's what it
but
is.
you try to approach her with something like that, and it's like, what are you talking about? There's no having a conversation with her, and I try to stay calm, but I can't. My blood pressure gets up.
So you're just living in a world where that tension is
So-
just underlying.
So
That's
then she tells me at some point, and we had gotten heated. Like, one time I was like full out yelling at my mother in our kitchen, and my daughter comes in and yells at us for yelling at each other. And you're just having this moment where you're like, oh my God, yeah, like, we're going at it. Like, and she's like, fine, I'll just leave then. I'm like, well, okay, pull the big red button. And, you have these fits. So then she's like, well, she looked at an assisted living place that's like a stone's throw from her house. And she was the one who suggested it. So I was like, well, she's my mom. I'm going to bear
No,
it
you're going to
forever.
stay here and suffer.
Yeah, right.
We're not
So
gonna
she
help
goes
dare
and they're
you.
like, oh, I'm sorry, there's a 2-year waiting list.
of course.
Right. And I'm like, oh, because now she's still like, I want her to have her own space. I want her to live in a way that she wants to live. I don't want her to be confined by us. I don't want us to be confined by her. She gets a call yesterday that they have
Okay.
somebody who moved out. So on Thursday, she's going to see if
Oh,
she
wow.
qualifies, because it's like a thing where they'll do it based on how much she makes, which
Yeah.
isn't much.
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, and now I'm in my head thinking about, all right, how much am I willing to put her? How am I going to?
How
I'll
much is it
Venmo
gonna
her
cost
for
me?
groceries. Oh, 140 for groceries.
Yeah.
Like, but she'll be so close to us that, like, maybe I think if we have the separation,
It'll be good.
because like we don't even have dinner together. Like my
I mean,
mom
it
will
sounds like
stay
it's
because my
borderline
mom
toxic,
won't
right?
eat normal food. She's so picky. And so it's like, and I have my autistic daughter. Well, she's picky. So now it's like
They're
a short
posting
order
in the corner
cook.
eating ketchup on their hot dog.
That's right. So I was like, no, my mom hasn't had a hot dog. Are you kidding me? She's like lesbian. She had a bad hot dog in 1984 and hasn't had another one since. No, but
I teed that up for you.
I know you did. I think the separation is going to be helpful because now we'll come together and we'll have dinner together once a week. Or like I think, and the
Yeah.
girls are so close, it's going to stink not having her in the house because they love that. But they could go to grandma's house for the night. She's still close. She can come in the morning and put them on the bus. Or
So what you try to do with little ones, and would be my experience. God forbid this happen, but you have to say to the girls, "Listen, grandmom's going to die. So what we're doing is we're trying to get you used to the idea. So she's going to move a little bit, but you'll see her.
Yeah.
And then one day she'll only be able to see you in heaven. So it's not a complete shock.
when do you want to babysit? For me?
Yeah.
Come over and babysit. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna. I'm hopeful because I think it'll be good for us because I want her to have that separation too. But like we'll almost be like empty nesters, like in a weird way. 'Cause
Well,
we
do you
get
guys
my mom
do you
out of
guys know what the
house.
Havana syndrome is?
No.
Havana syndrome. It's like a citywide. God bless. Havana syndrome. So they had the CIA guys in Havana, and all of a sudden they were getting like pains, headaches, and they had like brain damage, and nobody could figure it out. It happened in Vietnam. All of a sudden, Americans were there because the vice president was coming. All of a sudden, their entourage was getting. So it turns out they've got to pinpoint it to the Russians. There's some kind of sonic boom that the Russians are hitting us. This is not conspiracy bullshit. This is literally happening, right? So, but they're having brain damage without head trauma. That's how I would best describe it. That's how I would best describe me being with my mother-in-law. Like there's the Havana syndrome, and then there's the Rhea syndrome. And there's a point where I'm like, I gotta get my hammer. So that's how I would describe that. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, you may have some Havana syndrome with your mom being there too.
Well, and the house is so condensed that her room's like right there in the fray of it. And
There's always beef between the mother-in-law and the wife.
yeah.
There's
No,
always
like,
there's
and
always
mine,
like
and
a,
mine,
like a
they
pull.
used to get along so well, and they still do. But like, it's just my mom's going to be 70 in a month, and so when you're 70, like she's forgetting certain stuff. Or Amanda will lay out all of the stuff for breakfast and lunch and what they're doing, and then my mom will call an audible. But then she'll have questions in the morning, and it's like Amanda's like, I did all of this so that I didn't have to answer your questions in the morning.
Right.
But my mom's 70, so then I'm like trying to be like, well, yeah, but my mom's 70. You're gonna have to like.
Well, I don't think 70 is I forget. It's 70. I don't give a shit
Oh,
what you
yeah.
did.
But maybe
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
and that's what
I
it
think
is.
there's a lot of that.
I just
man.
know I'm wrong. That's all.
There-
I know.
that's one of the jokes I do. I live with all women. I just wake up and apologize to the first one I
That's right.
see. So
That's
it's yeah. But no, never. I think 70. I mean, unless you've had severe brain down, a lot of 70 is the new 60. They know what the hell's going on. They're just set in their way, and they're kind of screwing with you. I really convinced
Yeah,
them.
they think they know better. They
Yeah,
think, I know
absolutely.
more than this
Who
motherfucker. I don't
me?
give
Yeah,
a
they're
shit.
acting like the kids.
And yeah,
in
they're
my
like, "What do you
class.
mean? I just
And
did it."
like,
It's
what
like,
do you
no,
mean?
no.
It's like the circle.
Did
of
I
life.
do that? So
Yeah,
yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
No, it's tough anytime. I mean, it's like when my girls come to visit, it's going to be a weird adjustment, I would imagine. And they're not visiting; it's their house, but it's going to be weird because we're getting into the rhythm of just being together again.
Yeah.
So now it's like,
Well, that's why I wouldn't downsize. Like I remember I asked you earlier if you're going to down. Like I wouldn't want to downsize because I would want, like when I looked at the house we got now,
Mhm.
I'm looking at it as I want them to both be able to bring their families back.
Right? Is this the meeting
and,
spot?
I guess
Yeah,
could
that's
they
where we
be
go.
coming back and have a?
yeah, we're seriously considering. I love Philadelphia. I know everybody goes, "Well, really?" And I love this city, and I want to live in Center City. I want to get an apartment in Center City.
You want to have
I'd be very-
citywides at your.
I want to have a
fingertips, and then you
citywide
give
in the city, but I'm in the city. I'm in a section called Somerton, which is the way to hell out there, but I'm literally in the city limit. I love Center City. So, but do we get a place in Center City and then the girls come home with their family? There's no place for them to come and
No.
visit.
See, that's
That's
the
the
deal.
rhythm.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Right now, we have a nice 4-bedroom colonial single with
That's
a
it.
big yard and everything.
To me, that's important. That's
Yeah.
at
That's the
least
way-
at my
that's the
point.
way.
That's my
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
I want them to be
When
able
the
to bring
grandkids
their
show up
kids.
and they're running out. Get out. Of
I
the
want to
minivan
be able to
around
get
your
the
door.
load on at the Frankfurt Hall and stumble home. That's what I want.
That's right. Well, we
So-
got Uber for you, buddy.
Yeah. What's that? Right. Like OnlyFans? Wait a minute, guys. You guys are blowing my mind. Hold on. Let me get my phone. It's a rotary phone. Hold on. Operator, give me a Uber. The Uber. Yes, I'll have an Uber.
Now Albert's only been married. How long has it been now?
I thought
A
you're
year.
newly married.
A year. I'll be up
Has
in
it been a
year.
year?
So you were that was kind of
429.
wait, again, like who the hell stays married at 33 years? You want to stay married. You
No,
want
I
not,
do want to. I
Yeah.
just know it's we'll be an outlier if we've been married for 33 years.
Yeah, I would hope that you're happily married for as long as you're
Yeah.
married. That's and it ebbs and flows. There's times where I'm like, I love her, but I want to kill her, and it is mutual. So
It's so funny when those moments happen, and I just have to, you have to remind yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, this is just those. This is the dip, and this dip will pass, and it always does.
But there's like glimpses of like I would say that my wife has her inner crazy Puerto Rican chick. Like she's an Italian girl, but she's like a crazy Puerto Rican. She's jealous. She gets jealous, and it's so flattering. But so I worked with a female comic, very funny comic, and we exchanged. Hey, great working with you. Great working with you. And she ended the DM on Instagram as like 3 flames. So I said,
shit.
what does that mean? Because I sent it to my daughter, and my daughter goes, "Stop DMing." And she told my wife, and my wife was all mad. I go, I looked it up. It just says you're right, or I don't know.
Well, I guess I think that's she's
Like,
someone could see that as her like flirting with you.
No. I don't.
She wasn't. But if someone was like,
I think she was agreeing with whatever I was saying. I guess I don't
No,
know.
he said nice working with you, and then
Yeah,
the 3 flames.
but it went.
No,
No, but it was a little bit more. Whatever the case may be. There's an exchange.
that night. You're on stage and you murdered.
Fired.
She left. She had a gig in Brooklyn. The kid's funny. We're just like, hey, I can't believe you left. Whatever the case may be, just kidding around. I'm so sexually invisible. But Donna, that freaking inner crazy Puerto Rican came out and went, hey, I still got it. All right.
Yeah.
That's what that's the thing.
But then my big mouth Emma is like, Daddy's DMing women in Instagram. I go, Emma, I just asked you what the 3 flames meant. I keep you keep your yap shut. What the hell?
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, she told on you. She
told on me, and guess what? It's gonna be equally fucked up. It's gonna happen to you somehow, some way. One of the girls,
Oh, you gotta
do not trust.
If you put your phone down, they pick your fucking phone. They start
No,
looking through all
it's
your
not
shit.
just that. It's just we're dumb. We don't have brains. Guess what? Girls don't have souls. I've lived with them. I know them. I'm like Jane Goodall with the gorillas. I've lived among them. I know I'm not like them, but they've accepted me into their fold. So, and I'm wrong. That's what it comes down to.
That is what I feel that. So, dude, I hope, Albert, that it's been a year. What, in this month?
429.
Hey, God bless. That's wonderful.
This is it. This is a year.
This is a year.
We'll see what happens.
You're rounding the
year.
corner. You're just
First year is great. We'll see. Hopefully, I have following great years. I feel like
this will be 13. Lucky 13 for me in August.
13 years, man. That's
13?
really, really good.
13 years married, 17 years together.
I never thought I wanted to get married.
no.
Not that I just never thought I would get married. Let's put it that way.
There's times I don't want to be married, but I do love her and I would miss her. Like she's a part of she's family. I can't imagine.
I can't
not
remember.
Being a part.
I can't remember. I have vague references of like when I wasn't married. Like I can't even remember what I was like, my mentality or that like, because you were searching for someone for so long. That was it. And now you're like, oh, now I have somebody in that roster and I'm good.
I don't have to worry about all that shit.
Well, but also too, like I noticed like with my wife that we were dating, it get to a point where I loved her. I was like in love with her. I loved her like family. Like she fit. Like it just we became one kind of a situation.
Yeah.
That's it. That's when I knew we're at this like cliff in St. Martin, like, with 2 of my buddies, and we were just seeing how far we could hike along this thing. We called it like Devil's Cauldron because it was like dark. Nobody's there telling you not to do anything.
Oh yeah,
it's the land of whirling blades.
Yeah.
And like it was just, I had this genuine concern for her. I kept looking back, and she was just being super adventurous. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I hadn't seen this side of her before, but I also hadn't seen that side of me where I was like overly like being protective of her. And so that was the first thing in my mind when we were dating that kind of told me that, oh, this is like, I feel something beyond like, oh, I want to sleep with you. You're pretty. Like that was always my, like when I was in high school and whatever, that was what my head was saying, both of them. And then this time it was like, I had this genuine concern for her and making sure she was okay. And that was the first time I was like, oh, this is, and then I brought her to Scranton and she was able to hang with my weird family and my friends.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then the next year I got sick and couldn't go, and she went without me and went back and hung out with my friends and family without me. And that was sort of like, oh, cool. Like she was from this different part of town. It was like Green Acres coming to Scranton. And like, she just instantly took to it. And it was like, to me, that was the thing is like, when do I reveal to the person I'm with my family and the weirdity of it and all the weird parts of it. And so that was always the thing for when I was far enough in a relationship that I would reveal some of that stuff.
I think there's parts of my family that if we did get a divorce, they would hang out with Donna. And they would
want nothing to do with it.
Irish shun me. That's, I'm really convinced of that.
Acquired her.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, we're only here because we're with Joey because he's family, but we were like,
Well, now
We're our favorites.
yes.
yeah, exactly.
So now we'll have to have you back, and hopefully by then you guys will have settled into this sex swing.
Yeah, we got to get that swing. It's just from IKEA, so it takes a while. They give you an Allen wrench and a lot of
weird
parts.
photos.
Yeah. Like, wait, I don't know. I know. I just
Try the Swedish meatballs.
That's right. That's right.
I have a feeling there's going to be a new hobby on the horizon. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like shipbuilding.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those things like, oh, you do that now, huh? We're gonna
Joey's
be, like,
doing
kinda interested in that,
taxidermy.
like,
He's
what the fuck?
installing sex swings.
Yeah,
That's
all
right.
day.
It's my side gig.
Yeah.
That's,
He's drinking citywides and then going in and
They're
installing
paying sex swings. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now I have to correct myself because a boilermaker growing up in a tap room was the pint of beer and they dropped
you
dropped it in.
They dropped it in
So a shot in a beer is what
Same
we would
thing.
yeah,
But
but we
it's
could
like
go,
a PBR.
hey, give me a shot in a beer.
Specifically
Yeah.
a PBR, right? And Jim
It's a
Beam.
whiskey or
It
something?
doesn't need to be. Typically, and also it's always been said that it's exclusive to Philly. That it's called like that
called
you're gonna
something
get some low
Some
beer
version
and
of
some
everyone.
well whiskey of some kind.
There was a cool place I saw once where they did Jaeger and a Miller Lite for $5,
Okay.
and they had a specific shot glass that Jaeger made that fit over the bottle.
Ah,
So that way, when they served it, you could carry
couple
carry
of
the
them.
shot at the
Oh,
same
wow.
time.
look at that.
Okay.
Well, they had like. Do you guys know Eddie McGonigal?
Yeah.
Eddie McGonigal's fantastic.
Oh,
he
yeah.
makes me. He chews with his mouth open. That drives me nuts. But that's a whole other story. But he said that Irish people, like, you have an Irish car bomb and they don't get offended. Like, no other group would. Like, you can name, like no one ever goes to a bar and goes, "Give me a Puerto Rican with a switchblade." give me a black guy holds up a check cashing place. But your Irish car bomb, they think that's great. I'll have
That's right.
3 of them. So
That's right.
if you haven't seen Eddie McGonigal, he'd be great to. Seriously, Dad, Eddie's not a parent or a father, but he's just fun to be
Funny.
around.
That's
So
funny.
I highly
That's
recommend him.
Well, dude, thank you for coming.
Oh,
on.
guys, you guys are wonderful. This is great, and I will remember next time, God willing, I'm
We'll
asked
get
back.
your wife.
Yeah.
Let's get your wife.
I would love my wife to come, and
And
she,
Wives Day. That's right.
yeah, she
Oh,
would.
wow, that'd be crazy.
That you know what's
I don't
really
know how I
funny?
feel about that.
If that was a situation, you guys both have your wives and have them. I mean, not just my wife. I'm assuming I'm invited, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a fun.
You guys are great. I love this podcast, and this is always so fun to be here. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thank
Thanks
you,
for
man.
coming, brother. Much appreciated.
Much
I'm not
appreciated.
letting
Appreciate it.
I'm not letting you guys off that issue.
Yeah.
Joey, tell them where you
Oh,
can
yeah.
where
Oh,
they
yeah,
can find
sure.
you.
I'm gonna be listen Instagram, Joey Callahan Comedy. My daughter signed me up for all these, so I've got Instagram, Facebook, this thing called Grinder. I don't know what that
Yeah.
is, but I'm very
Hoagies.
popular on there. So joeycallahan.com. So please come to the show, and if you have any offensive things, offended by anything I said, it's jyoder.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, where you at, Al?
Yeah, where are you?
Check me out on Instagram because it's all my Instagram, Albert Davis _4th. I'll be in New York, Rinaldi show in New York. I'll be I think we have a show, Neil, coming up.
Yeah, we got a show coming up as well.
I got
You got some
I never
things.
know what I got, but it'll be on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Check that out.
That's right.
How about
yeah.
you, Jay? Where are you going to be?
I'm gonna be at Soul Joel's. I'm gonna be at Comedy Cabaret, both in Newtown and Doylestown,
Okay, cool.
coming up.
It's a great room. Both of them.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So yeah, jyodercomedy.com. Check it out.
And June 5th.
And June 15th,
15th.
seriously, Dad,
Soldier.
it's Father's Day Eve.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing a comedy show and live podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's cool. That's great. Yeah.
Saturday night.
Get asses in the
those
seats, man.
Souljoels.com. Get the tickets now, and let's have a good time.
Seriously, Dad?
Thank you for listening to the Dads, for once. Give these daddies a break. And maybe follow, subscribe, like, and comment to the Dads on Instagram and YouTube at Seriously Dad Pod. Rate and review Seriously Dad Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Seriously, Dad?
Hi, I'm International Man of Mystery Dan DePriel, and I'm one of the weekday comics. My friend Dave and I get paid to do comedy, believe it or not. But we're not allowed to tell all the jokes we want to tell. That's why we started this podcast. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. where we're going to talk about the news of the day and tell a couple of jokes that we just don't feel comfortable telling on stage. Hey, we don't have careers, so who gives a Weekday Comics? Our podcast, where we give you the big bags of trash we were born to be and aren't allowed on the shows they pay us to do.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.